Good morning, welcome to Gawne in 60 Seconds. Today we're here with the Honda HR-V, a small crossover hybrid SUV. We're going to have a look around it, we're going to have a look inside it, I'm going to take it for a drive, and I'm going to tell you if you should buy one. So it's beautifully sunny here in Devon today, and what a great day to bring this car out. It actually pops in white. I think it looks really good. I'm not a big fan of white cars, but this looks very smart. Ignore the blemishes because it has been up and down the motorway a few times and I haven't cleaned it, but I think the grille on this is probably the biggest selling point. I think it looks very strong indeed. I'm a really big fan of the way Honda have designed this. The lights are really nice, the way the LED lights just cut into the body, and then you've got a diffuser and some grills down there as well. It's all quite aggressive actually. It's almost a bit brave from Honda, who are normally quite subdued and a little bit more quiet with their design, but I've always been a fan. Every time I've seen one of these on the road, I've really liked them. This car starts from around £32,000, so it's far from the cheapest in the segment or even in the market. You know, this has now got rivals such as the Cherry Tiggo 4 about 20 grand, so you know, it's a premium to pay, but obviously there is a badge premium, and I suppose a big question for you is, how much do you value the badge? What we do know is Honda's engineering is always magnificent. Have they done a good job with this? As you come down the side of the car, you notice it's all finished in white. There's no attempt to make a floating roof or anything. The mirror caps are also in white with a little bit of black here to match the trim around the wheels and across the bottom. You've got a real handle here, no poppy outy nonsense, and then the rear handles are hidden in the pillar, which I think is quite a nice feature, to be honest, because they just disappear. Although a lot of people are going to come up to the car and go, oh, I can't get in. So I don't know if you like that or not. You'll have to tell me whether you think that's a cool idea or not. Obviously lots of manufacturers now do that, but yeah, hidden in the pillar. As you come down the back, you can see the angles here. There is a slight spoiler, and then the wheels, of course, are very strong indeed. Now the back of the car has an obligatory light bar with your big Honda badge in the centre, slightly with a little bit of blue trim there just to show you that it's the e-hybrid. The small spoiler sits there with a rear windscreen wiper, and then you've just got some badging for your HR-V and your e-hybrid, which just tells you a bit more and lets you know that this has some kind of electrification, however mild. Now if we open the boot, now the boot space in here is not bad at all. It's almost slightly surprising considering the size of the car. This is a very good family car. Now this comes with a big plastic tray. I'm not sure if you have to option that or whether you get it included. And there is a bucket down here as well, so there's a bit of space for your dirty wellies. In the boot you also have a light and a bag hook, and then you've got some small spaces either side there, but not an awful lot of extra space. Your seats fold down in a 60-40 split, and to fold them down there is just a little button there that you push and then give the seat a hefty shove and it will open, which is quite handy because you can do it from the back without having to go round and faff around. In the back of the car, even though it is a small SUV, you do have a bit of room. I've got some leg room and some headroom. I am 5'9". It's all right, you know, there's no panoramic roof or anything, but the roof is lined in this kind of light trim, which is quite nice. But otherwise it's quite dark in here because there's no panoramic roof. It is a bit darker. Now, if you close the door, it feels like the windows are actually quite small in here as well. So that adds to the slight darkness of the cabin. Now you do have some pockets here on the back of the seat, which has got like a little mini pocket in there as well. So you've got somewhere where you can prop your phone up. Let me demonstrate. So your phone can sit in there whilst you can take other stuff in and out of the main pocket. The centre console here has got some vents, and you've got a couple of USB-Cs and a little cubby so you can keep in your car sweets or your change. There is a very small transmission tunnel. Remember, this has got a petrol engine in it, so you've got this small transmission tunnel in the middle and quite a stiff middle seat. You wouldn't really want to sit in there. Of course, you've got ISOFIX either side, which is completely open and accessible, so really easy to get to. And these seats are finished in a cloth material with some leathery style stitching around the edges. But actually, they're fairly comfortable. So in the back here isn't too bad. It is just a little bit darker. So in the front of the Honda HR-V, and it wakes up as I get into the car. Now, there are a few things to tell you about in here. First of all, the seats are fairly comfortable. There's not an awful lot of support either side of you, but this isn't the kind of car that's designed for hooning it around, and that probably doesn't need that. What I would suggest is that this is quite comfortable getting in and out of. So it's really good for accessibility. And with the comfortable seats, and then everything in here is kind of non-daring and very kind of ordinary. Everything is exactly where you would expect it to be, and it's kind of reassuring. It's quite nice in that way. I think a lot of cars these days are trying very hard to be different. It's all massive screens, it's all of those kind of things, whereas this is kind of just reassuringly all right. It's kind of put everything there, it's got all the buttons, everything is as you would expect, which I think makes this quite a good selling point. And I know Honda probably have a slightly older demographic, and I think that probably plays into that a little bit, because there's nothing in here that shouts youthful, playful, fun, that sort of thing. It is all kind of a utility, and this is how we're going to do it. And a lot of the fit and finish is about that as well, because it's all finished really nicely. There's no gaps in anything. Everything's quite deliberate, but there's no like crazy materials. You know, you've got sort of leather covered plastic everywhere, and where it's not, it's just plastic. So it's all just quite simple. What you do have is a small infotainment screen there, which is very nice and simple to use. With a couple of real buttons as well. You've got a volume control there, which is quite handy because it means your passenger can change the volume, and not everything is built into the touchscreen. So you've got real dials here for your climate control. You've got a space here, you could put your phone or your keys or whatever in there, a USB and a USB-C, and then it's finished in this piano black, which of course will just get mucky really quickly. There's also a big tray down here, and I believe if you spec up you can get a wireless phone charger in one of these pads. So you can put your phone there. You've also got a reassuring gear stick, but obviously it's an automatic. Well, it doesn't really have a gearbox because it's an ECVT, so it's got no gears really. It's more complicated than that. You got a couple of cup holders, you got a drive mode selector, and you've got your parking brake and your brake hold button there. So it's quite reassuring that everything has got buttons. Moving over to the steering wheel, I'm going to have to power on so we can turn the steering wheel around. And this is reassuringly round. You've got real buttons again on the steering wheel. On the right hand side, all for your climate control. You've got your heated steering wheel button. On the left hand side, it's all for your infotainment, so you can go home, back, and all those buttons are really nice and simple. There's no touch bars or anything. You've got a nice simple jog wheel there to jog through the menus. Everything is really quite easy and accessible. Now with the blowers, you've got extra settings because you can change it so that it wraps the air around you and over the roof rather than in your face, if you prefer that. And then you've got some more buttons down here for things like opening the boot and that sort of thing. So it is all quite nice. On the door, you've also got buttons for all your windows and your mirrors. And again, it's just nice that it's not all in a screen. So I do like that. However, what we have to say is that whilst the screen is small, it does what you need it to do. It's not particularly advanced in technology. Now it's got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, which is all fine. But if you look at things like the navigation, then it's all a bit slow and sluggish and not particularly responsive. It's a bit glitchy and a bit... So it's not the greatest system in the world. What it is though, is it is nice and simple and quite stripped back. So all of the settings are all nice and easy to tick and untick. Across the bottom, you've got shortcuts to things like your phone, your navigation, your Bluetooth, but of course you've got tiles for that also. So other than that, there's not an awful lot to tell you about the screen, apart from it being just a bit clunky and a bit old-fashioned is maybe the right word, but then reassuringly simple might also be the right word. Got a digital dash in front of you. You've got everything you need, including whether you're in EV mode, whether you're in internal combustion mode, how much you've got in the tank, all that sort of stuff. Of course, your speed and your speed limits, because it'll read the speed limit and it'll tell you off if you're not at the speed limit. But other than that, you know, it's nice enough. I think it's reassuringly sensible. So your doors are all clad in this plastic. Even the slight bits that aren't plastic are actually just leather covered plastic. Speaker down there, and fairly small door bins, but big enough for one bottle or maybe a couple of sweets or something. Everything else is fairly chunky and reassuring and easy to use. Underneath the armrest there is a small cubby there which you can lose your car sweets in, and of course you've got a glove box as well, which is full size, which is quite nice. Okay, so we're driving the HRV, and for a change the sunshine is out, so I'm going to wear my sunglasses. Apologies for that. And do you know what, I've had this for a week and I've put quite a few miles on it, been up and down the motorway quite a lot, and do you know what, there's a lot that is quite nice about it. It's quite comfortable, it's quite calm, it's quite frugal, all of the things which are actually really, really important. However, it does have some things that annoy me, and one of those is this gearbox, because whilst it doesn't truly have a gearbox, it hasn't really got gears, it's an ECVT, because it's got an electric motor that drives the wheels. The petrol engine just feeds the electric motor all the time, so it's not a real gearbox, but it makes an absolute meal of changing gear, because the noise as you put your foot down is completely unnecessary, and it happens mainly on the motorway or at higher speed, where you would normally put your foot down and go faster. There's a bit of a delay, and it just feels like if it were a real gearbox, it's where it just delays changing that little bit, and that is really, really annoying. And it makes an awful racket, just a lot of which isn't cool for anybody. Now, of course, other than that, it's fairly sensible. It doesn't do anything leery, it doesn't have any unpredictabilities. It's quite nice and reassuring to drive. The steering wheel is lovely and round, the buttons are all nice and easy to touch. So for a normal daily driver, this is quite wonderful. I'm not a massive fan of the interior of this car, because I just think it feels a bit dark, but then if you scale up you can get the panoramic roof and all that jazz, so it might just be worth spending a little bit extra to getting the next one up. What I would say though is, in terms of drivability, it's not going to win any sports car awards, but it's responsive enough. It does exactly what you ask of it when you ask of it, which is more than can be said for some. And I think the word is definitely reliable. It feels reassuring, you know, everything about it just feels clunky enough in the right way that you don't think it's going to fall apart. It feels like it's made really well, you know, it's all kind of reassuring is really the word here. It's everything you want from a Honda. It's funny because Honda makes some absolutely cracking cars. Their engineering is absolutely wonderful, and I've got to admit, you know, Japanese engineering, they just make absolutely incredible cars. This has its foibles, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it's sensible. It's really, really sensible, and maybe that's exactly what you need. Maybe that's exactly what the market is asking for. Something that isn't out there or audacious or daft. Something that's not made of Bavarian cheese with 12 different scents and all that jazz. You know, it quite frankly is a car that will probably last a very, very long time. You know, get it serviced, look after it, and I'm sure it will look after you. Being a well-known manufacturer as well, it's going to be fairly cheap to insure. The parts are going to be quite easy to come by. So if you're going to buy this outright rather than lease it, that's got to give you some confidence, right? Because you're not going to get that perhaps with a JQ or a Armada or something, are you? You know, most new cars, your advice would always be to lease them, whereas this might just be to buy it. So I believe this is on the Motability scheme, and that makes this a really compelling purchase on there because, again, it's easy to drive, it's reassuring, it's easy to get in and out of, nice and accessible. However, there are a couple of things about this car that are just sensible. Like the fact you've got an on-off button sounds really silly, but it makes a massive difference. You know, quite often you get in a car these days and you're not sure if it's on or off, or if you walk away and it turns off and all those things. It's all a bit bizarre. So it's just simple. You know, a proper gear stick. You get in, you turn it on, you go in to drive, and you drive away. Again, super simple, almost basic, you know? And that is really, really important, because I think the ease of how simple this is to drive, and you just point and you go and it does exactly what you ask it to. It's a no fuss, no frills kind of brilliant choice in that regard. Right then, let's have a look at the pricing and the configuration of the HR-V. First of all, to note, it is available on the Motability scheme. It is available in elegance trim with an advance payment of £1,999, petrol hybrid, automatic, of course, otherwise as shown in the video, and that's a really, really good trim. But let's have a look in more details on the Honda website. If we configure and buy, if you were going to put your own money down, what are you going to get? So you've got elegance trim here, which is £31,310,000. You got wireless Apple CarPlay, magic seats, air diffusion system. In advanced style, you've got the wireless charger, the premium audio, and the roof rails. And then if you go for advanced style plus, which is £37,980, you get the multi-view camera, the two-tone roof, and the panoramic glass roof. So bearing in mind the one we're testing today is the £31,000 or just under £32,000 option. It really does look, if you want all the bells and whistles, if you want a panoramic roof and all the cameras and all that sort of stuff, then you're going to go for £38,000. Luckily, that's still under the 40 grand luxury car tax, which is still mad, isn't it, that 40 grand is a luxury car, and we're talking of a Honda HR-V here, just underneath that. We click on compare specifications. It takes us to this little box here, which just shows us all the things that you get. So on all of them, you get in the Apple CarPlay, magic seats, all that sort of stuff. Wireless charger, you don't get unless you go up. Premium audio, you don't get unless you go up. Power tailgate is available on all of them. Multi-view cameras on the top two trims, two-tone roof on the top two trims, and panoramic roof only on the very top trim. Roof rails only available in the middle trim, so if you're going to have a roof box, that is your only option. They all come with this same EHEV 1.5 litre petrol electric engine. So that's really what you need to know in terms of pricing and trims. You've just got the three options, and if you want things like the panoramic roof and the charger and everything for your phone, then you do need to go all the way up to £37,980. So the Honda HR-V, is it a bit boring? Do you know what it might be? In some ways, it's not particularly brave, it's not particularly outrageous, it's not particularly flamboyant either. It is kind of reassuringly sensible, and that is playing directly into the market. I love its grille, I think that's quite nice. The inside is all right. You've got things like heated steering wheel, heated seats, which are nice. It lacks in the infotainment system and the software. It lacks in the refinement in the drive, but it's got quite a nice space and it's quite nicely accessible. A decent boot space. So there's a lot to like about it. And for everything you find that's slightly annoying or you don't like, there is something to really like. Personally, I don't think it's a car I would buy, but then maybe I'm not the right demographic for this. Please tell me in the comments what you think. Because personally, I think this is just quite a sensible, small family car. The big problem this has is the price. Starting at £32,000, its rivals are absolutely killing it because they have brought cars from 20 grand, which are probably better appointed. If you buy a Cherry Tiggo 4, it's a similar size. It's got a better infotainment screen, nicer seats. But, you know, 12 grand of anyone's money is an awful lot of money. What you do get with Honda is the history, the reassurance, the brand that just speaks to you and tells you all about how reliable and careful and loving it is. I think that part might well be priceless to you. So tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you like this? Is this something you would buy? Or have you got one yourself and what's your experience with it? Thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.